You can ask anybody who knew me at the ripe old age of 5. Okay, I had an obsession. And that obsession was Pokemon. Like, I think for my 5th birthday, I legitimately got a Charizard birthday card, and I have like this original Pokemon ceramic poster thing. My family used to live in an apartment, and it got to the point where the landlords knew I liked Pokemon so much. I'm a Charizard stan all the way, babe. But I didn't even put together that a lot of these Pokemon were based on Japanese yokai. That is until I started researching these yokai videos. I'm not always the brightest, okay? So today I want to talk about some interesting Pokemon and the Japanese yokai that they were based on. But first, if you don't know me, hi, I'm Nikki, and I like to talk about random things on the internet. If that sounds good with you, then definitely feel free to stick around, maybe hit that like and subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into it. As always, I'm just totally gonna butcher the pronunciation of pretty much everything. So again, apologies in advance. The first Pokemon that we have is Exeggutor, and it is based on the Jinmenju. Exeggutor kind of freaked me out as a kid, I'll be honest, and it also must have freaked out the kids in the Edo period of Japan and China, because that is when this yokai originated from. The yokai, same thing. Tree with a creepy face, weird humanoid creatures with seeds, fruits, what have you. Just wearing a creepy ass grin the whole time. They're checking all these boxes, you know? So, the thing about this yokai, the Jinmenju, is that if you say anything to them, they'll just kind of laugh and laugh and laugh some more until a bunch of stuff starts falling out of them, like their fruits and their seeds, and then they can come at you. Okay, actually, that last part's a lie. I don't think they do anything malicious. I think they're just a little creepy, is all. I think the purpose of a lot of these yokai was to kind of be a cautionary tale to children, you know? So to probably, like, prevent them from going off into the forest alone, you know? I guess that makes a lot more sense to me. But that is what Exeggutor is based off of. The second Pokemon is my newer favorite of like the next generations of Pokemon, but Espeon, and it is based on the Nekomata. Espeon kind of has a little bit of lore, okay? So it started in 1602 when Japan was having a particularly bad rat problem. These little hoes are just eating up all the rice and the silk, which is what Japan is using to get money at this time. Also, at this time, it became illegal to have cats for whatever reason. So most people just kind of let the cat that they already had in their house go and be an outdoor cat, I guess. Like they're not just gonna kill their own pets, you know? Anyway, a lot of these cats that were let go because of this new law, they were Japanese bobtail cats. So they didn't have a tail necessarily. It's just kind of this little nub. I'll throw a picture up on screen. But this is where the yokai Nekomata comes from. Because people started to hypothesize, why do these cats not have tails? And what if they were to just magically grow one? The legend says that if these cats get super old and super fat, then they'll grow a tail. And sometimes, if you're lucky, that tail will kind of split off into a forked tail. And that's what Espeon is, or the Nekomata is. Some people say that the two ends of the tail, the fork, are really Nekomata's ability to turn into a cat or into a human, so it can kind of shapeshift. That's only in some of the stuff that I had found, though. Kind of interesting. Overall, they seem kind of mischievous, but the Nekomata are still pretty loyal to their owners, which is kind of interesting, right? Like, if they're kind of, like, if they can shapeshift into a human, then, like, you still own this human, but it's also a cat. I don't know. I'm not going to question it too much. Next up, we have Misdreavus. Misdreavus is based off of the Nukekubi. Nukekubi is a little sketchier compared to Misdreavus, or just scarier, I guess I'll say. Because Misdreavus is like that little puppet ghost dark guy hanging out at nighttime, you know? But the Nukekubi is a yokai that takes the shape of a decapitated woman's head. Yeah. And this yokai is said to drink the blood of its victims. And it hunts people for sport. So it's pretty scary, but I think it's pretty fitting because all of the Pokemon games that I have ever played, the Misdreavus only comes out at night. So I think it's kind of fitting for that, you know, it's hunting you at nighttime. That one's pretty self-explanatory, pretty short. But next up we have Jynx, who is based off of Yama-uba. Some distinguishing features of Yama-uba are the tattered blonde hair, red kimono, and prominent mouth. This all makes sense because it's pretty much what you see on Jynx as well. Okay, so the backstory of Yama-uba is that she falls under this category of like mountain hag or witch, okay? She seems pretty cool at first because she's hanging out, just doing her thing, and if she comes across a wary traveler or, a merchant or something, she will offer them a place to stay at night to kind of rest up and then get going on their journey again later. She also appears more younger, more youthful, and just more beautiful than her actual form is. Let's say she invites this wary traveler to stay with her for about a week. In that week's time, if the traveler sees her true form, she will eat them. If you want to learn about less cannibalistic mountain witches, then definitely check out my video on the more whimsical yokai that you can find over here. Watch this video first fully, please. I need the watch hours. And then you can go watch the other one. Thank you if you do that. Next up, we have Gastly. Gastly is based off of the yokai called Onibi. Onibi are also a little bit spookier, I guess. They are the spirits of animals and dead people. So the corpses of animals or people. So essentially, the Gastly is like a ghost of those dead people or animals, or I guess in this case, Pokemon. They don't really look like Casper the Friendly Ghost or anything, though. They don't really even look like anything. They're just like hazy, like fart clouds, basically. They don't even have faces like Gastly does. They're just little hazy things. Vague shadows or changes of the light. I mean, even people in our present day, like not thinking about yokai or like anything like that, like most people say that they have seen some sort of, trick of the light, perhaps, or a ghost, and they say it was like in the form of a shadow. So this one, it makes a lot of sense, right? Which also, that brings me to another point. Tell me if you believe in ghosts. I don't know how much I do. Nobody in my family or really anything has witnessed a ghost from what I have been told. Actually, that's a lie. My sister lived in a house and she thought that it was haunted for a while. So there's that. But my mother-in-law, she said that she definitely heard a ghost when she was young. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I feel like the people that I would least expect to believe in ghosts are the ones who are like, oh my gosh, I have this experience, like this weird thing happened. So tell me your weird experience if you have one, because I love to just learn more about this stuff. Anyway, moving on. Okay, this last one is kind of a doozy. I don't know if it's a good thing that I saved it for the end, but it's longer because I want to tell you the actual story behind it. So the last one on our list is Mawile, and it is based on the Futakuchi-onna. So the Futakuchi-onna is a beautiful young lady with lustrous black hair. Nothing seems out of the ordinary at first glance, but let me give you some backstory, like I said. So let's back it up to ancient Japan. There is this old guy, right? Like he's really, really frugal old guy. And he never got married or anything. He's like, you know what? A wife and kids are just gonna eat all of my shit. So no. Keep in mind, this is the time when people were paid in rice, right? So you are basically getting the stuff that is gonna keep you alive. So this guy, he didn't marry, he didn't have kids, he's getting paid in his rice, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna be frugal, not get married. Well, one day he finds this woman and people are talking to him and like, oh yeah, it's like weird, she doesn't really eat that much. Okay. But this piques his interest because he's like, hey, I would like a wife, but I just don't want her to eat my food. If this girl doesn't eat very much, then maybe I could court her. So he meets her and exactly what people said, right? Like, she doesn't eat very much of her food. And he's like, yeah, let's go. Okay. Weird thing to be excited about, but what are you going to do? Guys are interesting. He's like, okay, you won't eat my food. Let's get married. He courts her. They get married. Eventually, after like 6 months or something goes by, he notices more of his grain storage is getting depleted faster and faster. And he's like, okay, originally it was not being depleted this much. So he kind of has a baseline to compare to. And at first he's like, oh shit, maybe like a homeless person or like an animal is getting in or something. So he starts like fixing everything up, making new locks and everything. But things are still going by quicker and quicker. All of his grain is depleting quicker and quicker. Finally, he lands on, it's gotta be the new wife. Something, the math ain't mathin'. It's sketchy. So he's keeping like a hawk level eye on her. He's like, I'm gonna just watch her eat and see what's up. So he's watching her, and yeah, she's like still eating the very small amounts of food that she normally does, and nothing is going by. So he comes to the conclusion that she must be hoarding food or something when he's not watching, like when he's out for work. So he's like, I'm gonna tell her I go to work and spy on her. Foolproof plan. He's following her all day, and eventually he sees her go to the rice storage, and he's like, oh, okay, now's my chance. So he's watching her, and she takes like just the normal amount that she normally does out of the grain storage, and then she turns around to go eat. And he hears like this really gross, grotesque cracking and twisting of the back of her skull until a mouth is revealed on the back of her head. Gross, right? So he's horrified, right? And he runs away. And he's like, okay, what do I do? He's like, well, she's normally pretty chill. I'm going to confront her at dinner time. Which, like, why would you do that when you just saw some weird, creepy, like, paranormal bullshit happening? Anyway, he's like, okay, I'm going to confront her at dinner time. They sit down for dinner, and he's like, I'm going to divorce you. You keep eating all my food. Okay? I guess nothing really happened because they had like a tense dinner, whatever, and then they're settling down for the night. He's like, I'm gonna go take a bath to unwind from all this stress and this drama. Ugh. So he's in the bathtub, and she comes in, and she's looking crazy. Okay, she's pissed. And the mouse on the back of her head pretty much tells him to like shut the fuck up about this divorce business, okay? Otherwise, he's gonna regret it. This was pretty much the original Who the F Did I Marry? Like, if you've been watching Risa Tisa on TikTok, that's a whole other level of drama. My husband and I are absorbed in it, like, fully invested. I would highly recommend you check it out. It's, like, great. Well, it's not great for her. I shouldn't say that. It was an awful story. But it was very, very entertaining, but also educational for people who want to maybe... It's just a cautionary tale. So, like, avoid her situation, right? Anyway, again, on a tangent, I'm sorry. But that is where Mawile had come from. So, if you are thinking about the Futakuchi-onna, her pictures are just like this, I guess, mouth, just on the back of her skull. And then her hair is, like, kind of in these little tendrils. So, if you look at Mawile, it looks, like, very normal from the front. But then it has this, like, weird, long, like, head or mouth thing in the back of it. And I guess the black part of the little mouth shape is supposed to be her hair. So you can understand kind of the parallels between this Pokemon and the Yokai. I thought that one was super interesting because it was one of the only ones I could really find like a deep, in-depth story for. So most of the other ones were just like, yeah, this is what it looks like. So we took the picture and copy and pasted it in like a fun little Pokemon setting. But this one I really appreciated because it had like a very in-depth story, and I was like, this is so interesting. Anyway, that is all I have for you on Pokemon that are based on some Japanese yokai. Let me know if you want another video just like this one. I think there's a lot of Pokemon based off of Japanese yokai, so I would be more than happy to find out more for you, but yeah, just let me know what you want. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then definitely like and subscribe for me. That tells me that you enjoy this type of content, and I would love to make more of whatever you enjoy the most. Yeah, have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!